undrafted, guaranteed to make the roster, and a season team. In your wildest imagination, that you're thinking went on this year is something that you would have thought of maybe a couple months ago?
Yeah, first things first, I'll go to my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Um, it's kind of funny that that question is posed because in my pre-draft process, I remember being at the G League invite, and we had these breakout room interviews with these teams, and one of these teams had asked, "Where do you see yourself in a year?" And I told them, "I'll be in the NBA roster." I don't know how. I don't know how it's going to look like, but I told them I'm going to be in the NBA roster. And I had that deep belief in myself that if I was going to go undrafted, regardless if I was an E10 or a two-way, that somehow, some way, I was going to will myself to put myself in a position to go into an NBA roster. So something I prayed for, something I worked for, and it's a dream come true.
Philip, did you have a moment this year where you just realized that you belonged and this is where you need to be and this is your spot?
Yeah, for sure. I told a story a couple days ago, actually, but it was my first time I got called up from the G League. I was in the G League for about a month and a half, from November 8th until December 18th. I got a call up to play in Portland, and in like 17 minutes, I had like 8.7 rebounds and like 3 blocks. And I followed up the next game with like 5 blocks, and it was just one of those moments where I was just like, I kind of got a rhythm of things, and then it wasn't up until I want to say like 2 or 3 games later after that, mid-December, we played the Rockets and the Pistons, and those were the two best, physical front courts. And I wasn't getting pushed around. I held my own, and I was like, wow, from a physicality standpoint, if I'm tough enough to handle the front court of Houston Rockets and the Detroit Pistons, I mean, I don't think anybody's gonna punk me. So probably that week in December is definitely when I thought I belonged.
Hey, what's up, Dylan?
What up?
Good to see you again, my
yes,
friend.
Sir. Yes, sir.
It's interesting. Our colleague Marcus over there had asked Malik Monk what brought him joy this season. And with no hesitation, he said these two words, Dylan Cardwell.
Yeah.
And he talked about the energy that you brought, the infectious personality, and everything that you brought to this team. Despite the disappointment and underachieving, whatever you want to call it, you were a bright light to this team. To hear your players, your teammates talk about you in that regard, and to know that you still brought a lot of fun this season, what does that mean to you? And was that always the goal and objective also?
Yeah, it's exciting just to hear that your teammates appreciate you. I think growing up, I've always tried to be a great teammate and a great locker room guy. It's just cool to see that when times are tough, that my character remained the same. We weren't losing, we weren't winning as much. We were not the greatest team, but I just showed up to work every day and really just try to be a great teammate. And it's just cool to see it pay off. Try to be a light every day and be a joy every single day. And there's times I have bad days. Some people just don't see it or whatever. But at the end of the day, I try to put my best foot forward, and it's just great to be a great teammate.
Dylan, you immediately became a fan favorite. I remember just the other day after the last home game, I was interacting with some of the people who stayed around the city, and some of the kids who coalesced around. How do you feel about that? That this community, especially the fan base, has kind of pulled you and made you fan.
Yeah, it means a lot to me. I really appreciate Sacramento. I appreciate the fans. It's just a great opportunity to go out here and compete. But when they come out here and they spend their hard-earned money to watch us play every single day, I don't take it for granted. And I really appreciate their sacrifice, how they poured into us throughout the season. But it means a lot to me to really have value here in Sacramento and to be loved and to be appreciated and to have my antics really just, poured into. I really appreciate every time I put my hands up, the crowd put their hands up as well. It just makes me feel more involved. And I really enjoy it. I really appreciate the fans' appreciation of my antics.
Feel good to end the year with the highest 3-point percentage on the team.
Yeah, that's not my first time doing that. I did that in college as well, multiple times. So, I was a 44% 3-point shooter in college, 4 for 9. So, but yeah, man, I don't know what's going on. I just feel some prayers, and they went in.
What did you learn about the NBA style of game this season, and how you feel like you fit into it that you'll take into the offseason?
Yeah, definitely just being a force. Really set the tone is kind of like my word. Just every time I go on the court, set the tone, because if you allow it, some people will just step over you, some people will disrespect you, some people will take you for granted. And for me, from here on out, I'll just try to set the tone each and every game, each and every practice, and make sure I'm doing my best effort.
Dylan, when you talk about building a culture for a team, things that you do that you just explained are a huge part of that. Can you just explain for me, how much you relish in that and really bought into that? And, was that kind of from where you come from? Was that kind of just like do what you need to do, or is that just like who you are as a basketball player?
I want to give a big shout out to one of my old GAs, graduate assistants at Auburn, my freshman year. His name was KT Harrell. And I never forget going into my freshman year of college, I had all these crazy goals. I wanted to be, first team all SEC. I wanted to be SEC freshman of the year. I had all these high aspirations for myself. And the first game we played St. Joe's, and I played 10 minutes and had 0 points. Next game we played Gonzaga, I probably played 10 minutes, had 0 points. Then we were in UCF. I scored my first college basket, and they only scored 2 points that game. And so I was talking to him while we were in Orlando playing against UCF, and I was just like, I was so down in a hole. Like I said, I had these high expectations for myself, and things just weren't working out. And he pretty much told me a story about his pre-draft experience, and he wasn't blessed enough to play in the NBA, but he's blessed enough to share his experience with me. That he was, a 20-point per game scorer in college, and he didn't make it to the NBA, but he was in the same draft class as Alex Caruso, and that was a guy that defended and played with high effort and energy. And so he gave me 3 things to remember: rebound, energy, and defense. And we called it RED, and that was my memo from freshman year up until now. I'm the best rebounder on the court. I'm going to play with the most effort and energy on the court. I'm going to defend the best on the court, and that's going to put me in a position to play and be on the court at all times. And KT showed me from a young age that the NBA had its scores. College teams have their scores, but someone has to do the dirty work. We look at Draymond Green or Ben Wallace or Dennis Rodman. These guys are Hall of Famers, and they all did what everyone else didn't want to do. And it's not a position to get to glory. There are games where my impact is felt, and I have 0 points and 5 rebounds, but we won the game by 20. And so it's an unsung hero kind of job, but it's needed. And I got to give a big shout out to KT Harrell, because if it wasn't for him, I don't know where I'd be at with those three words, those 3 letters.
Dylan, what does your offseason look like? What do you want to improve on the most?
Yeah, I just want to improve on conditioning and make sure I'm play as long as I possibly can. I want to work on really defending on the perimeter and being in the help. I learned a lot about the defensive spacing in the paint, but as far as if I had to switch one to a 4 or a 3 and playing off ball, I haven't had any reps of playing off ball out of my position. So just learning defensive rotations there, free throws, finishing around the basket, really just everything. I'm very, very excited to see what this offseason looks like for myself. We have a plan going forward, but I'm excited to come back this next year and be better.
2 for me real quick. What was the best piece of advice you received?
Yeah, it's a great question. The best piece of advice was probably that I got from Russ, was just don't change for anybody. And I guess the second best would be from Larry Nance. He said, don't let anybody steal your joy. And, at the end of the day, the NBA is a business, and there's a lot of things that are out of our control. But at the end of the day, we have to be professional in how we carry ourselves and how we deal with the ups and downs of the league. And if things weren't going my way and I started to be a shell of myself and I wasn't playing with joy, and I had a couple of DNPs in a row and I was just like, I'm done being joyful, I won't be in the league for long. And that really just put things in perspective for me, and just like being a professional, but not just being a circumstantial person, being high only when times are high, being more professional, just like when things are going well, being a good teammate and controlling what you can control.
I think it's always well into the just kind of next question, which is, you hear people who typically embrace the role of the dirty work player, having to bring an edge or an aggression to them. Watches you play with such joy. How often do you hear, even in maybe your past, or maybe now, people wanting to see that aggression or that meanness kind of come out of you more so?
Yeah, I don't really heard it too much. I'm a pretty tough guy. No one's gonna try me, so um, I don't really care too much about playing with aggression because I'm one of the toughest players in the NBA, I believe, and so I was one of the toughest players in college basketball. I never had to go out of my way to get technical foul or a flagrant to prove that. No one's going out of their way to do it to me. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing.
Do you, as a rookie, do you already have the best celebrations in the league, and do you have a favorite this year?
I don't think I have the best celebrations. I think we got a team full of guys that can celebrate. I mean, Russ's 3-point thing is just, to me, at first I was like, he's gonna give himself a concussion, but I caught on to it. But I like Precious's like 3-point thing, and then when we were playing the Knicks, he did it like this. So I guess it was real personal for them. But my favorite celebration of myself, uh, I don't know. I mean, this is just obviously the easiest one because there are times where I would dunk, and before I could put my hands up, people in the stands are already standing up and doing this, and so that was always pretty cool to me. And that's probably my favorite one of all time, just because the fans do it before I can do it.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank y'all. God bless.